I talked to Bob Hammond. So I had hired Eric Kokish, the late Eric Kokish, to do some partnership coaching for me. And I reached out to Eric and he put me in touch with Bob because I wanted to go play rubber bridge because I heard rubber bridge was a great way to learn the game. And so I went to London and Bob's like, bring cash with you. And I had no idea how much to expect. So I went to my bank and I asked them to withdraw 20,000 pounds in cash. And that was way too much, first of all. But also they gave it to me in 5s, 10s, and 20s. So I just had just cash coming out of every pocket. And I actually won money there. Hi, welcome to the Setting Trick podcast. I'm your host, John McAllister. Normally, these are long-form interviews where I speak with a lot of great bridge players, but today I have a special treat for you. It's just me, John, talking about my own bridge life. And it all started with my Aunt Kathleen. When my grandfather died, she's my mom's oldest sister, and she came to stay with us. And I was explaining the house rules for hearts to her. And her exact words were, "This is stupid. We should be playing bridge." So I was a freshman at UVA. We call them first years. I was 18. It was December. And I loved bridge just immediately. But I didn't really have any outlets for it. And so whenever I would come home, I would play. My parents knew how to play. They had played some with their accountant, so they kind of knew the basic rules. And we had a cheat sheet that I think was maybe from Bridges for Dummies. And it said, like what you could open the bidding with. And it was all very basic and rudimentary. And I remember being excited when my mom would get like some friends of hers that knew how to play, and they would fill out our game, because a lot of time it was just me, my mom, and my stepdad. And I have 3 sisters. One was very young at this point, but only one of my sisters would really join us and play. And so a lot of times it was hard to find a fourth. And then I moved to New York City after I graduated from college. And I lived very close to what was Honors Bridge Club, but I had no idea. And so it didn't even occur to me to go look for bridge, even though I was living in New York and I loved it. It just didn't occur to me that it was something that people did outside of our family. And so my older sister, Melissa, when I moved back to Charlottesville, Virginia, which was in 2002, she had a group of friends that were looking for a fourth for a bridge class. And, I was fired up for that. And so this woman, Chouky Neal, became my first formal bridge teacher. And she like really knew the game. Like, she was a duplicate player. There's this one thing I remember. She called it the country club. If you open the bidding of a club and your partner responded to major, and now you bid 2 diamonds, that was her word for that reverse. And so now I started to learn that you had more high card points for this type of bid, and Chouky took me to the local bridge club for the first time. But the problem was she only had 1 spot available a month. And so I could only play in the local bridge club like once a month. And then she met this guy who was a student at UVA now. His name was Jason Holderness. And Jason, so she started playing with Jason, and then she set me up so I could play with Jason. And Jason was definitely better than me at that time. And I remember the first time I ever played in an NABC was in Washington. I think it was in 2010 or 11. And Jason and I played in the 299 or 2-session event, 1-day event. And we won that event. We got trophies. And I just looked him up actually earlier. He had played in like the national cap. He played in a regional in DC last year, but I have not seen Jason in a long time. So I started playing bridge at the local bridge club in probably 2003 was. And then I got hired for a job in 2004. And here in Charlottesville, the big local games are on Wednesday and Friday at 12:30. And so having a job really sort of eliminated that for me. And so I wasn't really playing any in-person bridge. And then I would play a little bit on BBO with Jason. And I remember thinking, this is how I get Life Master. I can just, rack up these BBO points and these BBO wins. And then my boss, the head of my company, was getting married. And so there was an engagement party for him and his fiance. And at that engagement party, I met this woman named Gib Stanton. And Gib was my boss's fiance's stepmother. And I met Gib towards the end of the party, and we hit it off. And she was telling me how she plays fantasy football. And I said, well, you probably play bridge too, sort of appreciative that she played fantasy football. And she said, yes, she did. And so Gib got me back playing some in-person bridge. I remember playing a regional in Charlottesville kind of like a couple months after that. And then there was like a night game on Monday nights that I played in. And I had sort of a semi-regular partnership with a local guy named Rob Clark. And Rob went on to work for the ACBL for a couple of years after that. And I remember the only time I ever played precision was in the local club game, one or maybe two nights with Rob Clark. And then there was another local guy who Rob knew named Paul Mott. And Paul is an expert. And so he started mentoring us a little bit. I remember going to Paul's house one time with Rob and thinking, man, this guy really takes it seriously. Paul was always happy to play with me. But his like one sort of unwritten rule was that if we were going somewhere beyond Charlottesville, that I always had to drive. The first time I hired a professional bridge player, it was Mackenzie Myers, who is now one of the head directors of the ACBL. And I remember we played together in a sectional, and then we played together in a club game in Waynesboro, which is about a 30-minute drive from Charlottesville. And that was like a Monday night game. So a lot of the times this is probably like late aughts. And the only game to play in during the week was in Waynesboro, which is not a particularly large, it's more of a town, I would say. And I remember Mackenzie taught me size ask or clubs over 1-no opener. And we also had some like system if we opened 2-no. And I don't remember what the reason was that I hired Mackenzie, but he used to be married to a woman who was originally from Charlottesville. And I imagine that it was just like the opportunity. I love bridge so much, or I liked bridge so much at that point that it was the opportunity to play with like a real expert. I was dating a woman during this time, and she, for Christmas one year, reached out to another area expert, this guy, Kent Massey, and Kent put her in touch with Gail Greenberg. And through Gail, I was introduced to Jeff Hand. And I went up to New York, and we played 3 club games together in like early January. I don't remember what year it was. And I remember after each game, we would go over every deal card by card. And I loved doing that with Jeff. And he came down and played a regional with me. And I remember he had a crisscross squeeze. I don't remember if we we played like a 2-session pairs. I don't remember if we won it or not. So at this point, I've been working at my job for a few years, and I wasn't really getting enough bridge in. And so I invested, but the job was going well, and I invested in a startup called Ordertopia. And Ordertopia was created an application that allowed you to order at a restaurant, which obviously is just sort of, completely everywhere now. And so but not Ordertopia's version, unfortunately. And so I took some time away from my work weekly, initially to work at Ordertopia and do marketing for them. And then I just ended up taking the extra time to play in the local club game on Wednesdays and Fridays. Eventually, I grew tired of working at this place, Quantitative Investment Management. And I was in, during one of the last conferences, probably the last conference I went to for QIM was in Palm Beach. And so I knew Gavin Wolpert from Bridge Winners. And so I reached out to Gavin, and I got to hired him to play in a sectional 2 days. And I remember I decided I was going to go to my first NABC. And I said, I asked Gavin for advice, and he said his advice was play against the best competition that you can. And so that advice, I think, is great advice. And it's what I tell anybody who wants to be the best bridge player they can be. So I played my first ever national event in spring in Memphis, 2012. And I played with Greg Humphreys. We played the imp pairs. We just missed qualifying for the day 2, the final. And then I played the Vanderbilt with Rob Brady, who is now a bridge streamer on Twitch. And our teammates were Sean Gannon and Steven Drodge. And we were in a 4-way. And I remember we played against Alejandro Bianchetti in the first set of the 4-way. And we lost that one. And then we played against Kit Woolsey and Josh Don in the second half. And I remember thinking after the second of the 15 boards was over, I remember thinking, we won. And I think we ended up losing by 40 that match. So then Rob and I played in like a two-day pair event, and we scored pretty badly. And I was ready to go home. So one of the things that I noticed at my first nationals playing with Rob was that he just thought about the game in so much more like deep of a way than I did. And even though I wanted to immerse myself in bridge, I realized that I was going to be really banging my head against the wall, trying to play, just not being able to play at the level that Rob demonstrated. And so the opportunity to make this documentary movie, Double Dummy, came along, and that gave me the opportunity to really immerse myself in the game. And so I also met a guy on Bridge Base, a Bulgarian guy named Alex Hadjev. And so we started playing together on there, and then he convinced me to hire him and the now deceased Kalinkar Ivanov to come and play on my team. And at the next nationals, it was Philadelphia, summer of 2012, played against Leslie Moyle's team in the Vanderbilt, and they beat us by, my partner was Greg Humphreys, they beat us by 1 million. We should have withdrawn. We did not. After the third quarter, we played the fourth quarter. And then I got in touch with another world champion bridge player, George Middleman from Canada. And George became my partner and coach, and played some regionals with him. And then Christina Lund Madsen. I met her at the Atlanta Fall Nationals, and she reached out to see if I wanted to play in the World Championships mixed with her and Dennis Bilda as my teammates. And that seemed like a pretty dynamic duo. So I did my first World Championship in 2014. I love to play rubber bridge. I'll go to New York sometimes to play in a dollar game there. The first time I ever played rubber bridge was in London. And I'm not saying I'm good now, but I was not very good then. This was probably 12 or 13 years ago. And I talked to Bob Hammond. So I had hired Eric Kokish, the late Eric Kokish, to do some partnership coaching for me. And I reached out to Eric, and he put me in touch with Bob because I wanted to go play rubber bridge because I heard rubber bridge was a great way to learn the game. And so I went to London, and Bob's like, bring cash with you. And I had no idea how much to expect. So I went to my bank and I asked them to withdraw 20,000 pounds in cash. And that was way too much, first of all. But also they gave it to me in 5s, 10s, and 20s. So I just had just cash coming out of every pocket. And I actually won money there. And I met Zia over there. I didn't play in the big game. And they play over there. They play 4-card majors, no key card, no negative doubles, like 1 heart, 1 spade double. That's penalty. So I did win money. Artur Malinowski was running the club. And I remember going into his office and him having to fork over the cash that I won. So another big milestone for me was meeting Lily Justman during COVID, skipping ahead some years. We met on Bridge Base. She's a setting trick listener. And she gave me a person that I could play with a lot online. I didn't have to pay her. We just played as friends. And just getting to play a lot of boards with her, I think really helped me sharpen my game. Now at this point, when I play in an event, my goal, well, let's not get carried away, but my goal is to win, and having won a couple of times, it's really sweet. And having finished second once, it's a bummer. And I've been lucky to have, I would consider probably 4 big wins. I won my first NABC win was the Mitchell Border match in Phoenix. And that was kind of out of nowhere. And then I won the mixed Swiss the next year with Lily. And then we won our GNT for District 6. The following year, I was playing with Sophie Bowdish. And then just earlier this year, won the Reykjavik Masters, the WBT event. So I am currently, it's June 4th. I'm currently getting ready for the Europeans. I'm playing in the mixed with Marianne Harding and Jovi Smedereva and Sasha Warnell, who were my teammates when we won the Mitchell. And I just wanted to give you guys an episode today because I promised to do one every Thursday, and I did not have my ducks in a row. So, please comment in the YouTube, comment on your own bridge journey, and, maybe I'll interview you for this next one so you don't have to listen to me ramble on. Thanks for listening.